When I was picking which system to do for my next catalog project, the PC Engine had two significant strikes against it. It had a lot of character games, short, simple adventure games designed to take advantage of a license, and then the other problem genre, strip Mahjong. Yeah, the PC Engine gets a lot of that in its waning days. But I wasn't expecting the strip Mahjong games to show up until about 1992. Well, Mahjong Gakuen is the first adult game to have an official, licensed release for a video game console. Now, we need to step back here because this isn't the first video game where you can get naked women. In fact, it's really far from the first. But everything before this came in two different flavors. Unlicensed games that people hacked onto a console, so not official releases, and games released for platforms where there wasn't anybody to tell them no, so computer games and arcade games. FACE had to take Mahjong Gakuen to NEC and say, "Hey, we want to release this on the PC Engine. You're cool with that, right?" And NEC said, "Sure, go right ahead." Of course, even by 1989, strip Mahjong video games had a long history. In 1983, Nichibutsu took one of their generic Mahjong arcade games, a genre that was struggling in the video game market, and they added a picture of a naked woman that would appear if the players won a few consecutive hands. That turned the arcade game Django Knight into a hit, and it didn't take long until everyone was copying it. Pretty much every arcade game manufacturer had some kind of horny Mahjong game, and very likely multiple ones. And these were becoming more and more explicit. Eventually, in 1988, this came to a head as Capcom put graphic sex scenes into their Mahjong game, a game titled Mahjong Gakuen. So next year, when FACE released Mahjong Gakuen for the PC Engine, which actually was based on Mahjong Gakuen 2, it came out in the midst of a major controversy about how sexually explicit video games were getting. And so, there was significant backlash. Enough backlash that 6 months later, FACE pulled the game from store shelves, removed the nudity, and re-released it as Mahjong Gakuen Mild. And just in case you were thinking that the version with naked women in it must be a rare and expensive collectible, no, you can get it for less than 500 yen. If you want to know how to tell the difference between the two versions, the mild version says mild on a very light blue label placed over the Japanese title. Now obviously, you couldn't just let kids see the package for Mahjong Gakuen. That hand is just too spicy for them. So initially, it was sold with a large red wrapper and came with a VHS cassette. The video, titled Mahjong Gakuen, is ostensibly a comedy. It has a few Japanese comedians interacting with the staff of the magazine Gekkan PC Engine, and they're engaged in some skits. The second half of the video teaches people how to play Mahjong. The video is notoriously awful. The magazine considered the video to be a taboo subject, one of the more shameful things in their history. So how does Mahjong Gakuen work as a video game? Well, there's two different modes. There's the Academy mode, which is the mode you'll play for the sexy pictures, and then there's the country-wide mode. Academy mode has you take on a ladder of 10 players, and for each of them, you'll first have to deplete their points, and then you have to win either 3 hands or deplete another set of points. You always have 2,000 points to start with, and if this drops below 0 because you lose a hand, then your opponent will give you one more chance. You'll start over and do it again. Screw up again and it's back to the title screen. Knock out your opponent's points and you start getting pictures of them. And every time you win a hand, they take off more and more clothes. But you don't have to slowly strip them, since losing all of their points there means they lose all of their clothes. There are a few male opponents in this ladder, but Mahjong Gakuen is a game for horny, lonely dudes, so the guys don't strip. Something that you'll spot while playing Academy mode is that sometimes when you draw a tile, you get power instead of a tile. Power is used as a kind of currency through all the modes of the game. In Academy mode, sometimes you'll be prompted to spend some of it on a power-up. or possibly bet some of it on what type of hand you'll have. The power-ups do all sorts of things that let you cheat. Like for 100 power, you can discard any tiles in your starting hand and draw new ones. Another possibility is that there will be a little meter when you're drawing and you're only one tile away from completing your hand. Stop the meter in the middle and you get the tile you need. Another power-up gives you one more chance, if the game has ended in a tie, to draw the tile you need to complete your hand. There are no continues, passwords, or level selects for Academy mode. You have to beat all 10 opponents in one sitting. Now in countrywide mode, you start out fighting one opponent, and then once you reduce their score to 0, you can pick a neighboring territory to go to. The big island that's suddenly off the coast is the home of the final boss, and you can go there at any time. It's just that she'll draw into a perfect winning hand, unless you've collected the 7 magic Mahjong tiles that are scattered around all of Japan. So instead you pick one of the other territories, and try to conquer it by defeating its player. There's no nudity in this mode, you just play and move on. The power-ups are present here as well, but you get them by defeating opponents instead of drawing into them. And you can keep a stock of them to use at an appropriate time. Defeating an opponent gives you the password so that you'll be able to continue where you left off, and there's 47 regions that you have to clear like this. Something that you might have noticed as I've been playing is that Mahjong Gakuen tends to deal tiles to benefit the player, particularly early on. So when you start playing, you'll get some very strong hands, and then eventually the hands will become more random. Of course, if your parents were coming into the room, you needed to hide this game fast. And so if you hit select while you're playing, you get a screen where it looks a bit like an RPG. I particularly like how the player's name is Ah. You can hit select when you're ready to return to playing Mahjong. So what do Japanese players think of Mahjong Gakuen? Well, there's a lot of people who are in an academy of their own in the late 80s who are very fond of it. They also really don't like the mild version that was released after the original one was pulled from shelves. My own feeling about the game is, it's actually kind of a good Mahjong game. I suspect that comes from the arcade roots. The game is set up to ease you in, gives you some additional power-ups that can help you, but if you really wanted to, you could just play Mahjong straight and not worry about it. I've played a lot of Mahjong games at this point, and Mahjong Gakuen is one of the better ones. I know, I'm kind of shocked myself. They could have just sold this one on having naked women in it, and it seems like they actually put in some effort. Well, I'm sure I'll start seeing some bad strip Mahjong games soon enough.